Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to episode 6 of Blood of Zeus. So, last time Zeus got big mad because everything seemed to be going wrong, and trying to remember the bad guy's name. It's a, is it Seraphim? I think it's Seraphim. But he was going after um oh my god. The names are escaping me right now. Heron? I think it's Heron. The main character. He's going after Heron, trying to kill him with the spear and everything on Hera's orders. And so Zeus was upset. He got involved. Poseidon looked like he was upset at Zeus for getting involved, even though Hera's involved. So it's all this kind of bullshit, which is pretty normal for, Greek mythology, Greek gods. So, yeah. But I'm definitely excited to see where this goes. We've only got a few more episodes, so there's not much more room. And that's the thing. This series so far has seemed like a slow burn, but there's really not much else to do with it, I feel. It's just, well, okay, I need to word that better. It feels like a slow burn, but there's not much left to go in this season at least. But it feels like, and I worded this completely wrong before, but it feels like there's too much left to go. It feels like it's still really early in the story. I I don't see how they're going to wrap anything up within 3 episodes, including this one. I don't see how that's going to work. I know these episodes are longer than some shows. They're basically double length, like this episode here. Well, okay, not double length, but like a little extra longer. This one's 32 minutes, but to be fair, that does also include the credits. But they've been upwards of 40 minutes and stuff, and it's like, even so, it just feels like there's not enough time to get through everything. I don't know if they were like expecting and planning on a second season, but it's like I feel like a show should never expect a second season. It should always conclude what it needs to conclude at the end of the first. If you're, or at least leave off on a good enough resolution to where it feels like if it doesn't get a second season, it's at least satisfying enough. Even if it doesn't answer all the questions or go to the main like conclusions or anything, at least it'll have a satisfying enough ending. And I just feel like this isn't going to. I feel like this is one of those shows where the creators expected more seasons, and I don't even know if it's getting any right now. But it definitely feels like the creators are just blatantly expecting to get more seasons, and because of that, they're just taking their sweet time on this one, and it's not gonna really have a real ending. That's what it feels like to me, and I might be wrong, and honestly, I hope I'm wrong. But that is exactly what it feels like to me. I do not know how they can give any kind of closure, any kind of true conclusion to this in the amount of time we have. It just seems like there's just so much more to do with the Amazon lady, with Heron and his new friends, if they do stick around, with everything really going on. Like, the real conflict between Zeus and the other gods hasn't even really started yet. Like we've only got like the fuel to that. The actual conflict between them has not actually started yet. And on top of that, like I don't see how they're going to take out Seraphim and just stop all of that in only 3 episodes either. Because as of current, Seraphim is so overpowered compared to Heron. It's like there's really no way to make that work. I feel where you have to be able to make Heron strong enough to be able to take on Seraphim in the first place. And the problem is he really doesn't have anywhere near that right now. So what are you gonna do? Just force some kind of like Deus Ex Machina on him? It'd be pretty cheap if they did that. And even so, like the one big thing he had, the sword, is now wielded by Seraphim as well. So like he doesn't even have that going for him. Unless he somehow gets that back, but still, it'd just be like, I don't know. I don't know. We'll just have to see because they might be able to handle it well. I don't know how they would. And I'm hoping to be proven wrong. I'm hoping that this closes out well. I again do not know how it's going to. But we'll see. We'll find out. So, that being said, we're just going to get into this and hope for the best with this episode. So, when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, this was an interesting episode. There's really three main things that happened to focus on. First, we had Heron training under Zeus, learning combat and whatnot. We then had the beginning of this journey with Alexia and them heading to, do what they have to do to fight and everything, and learning that they have to cross the field of the dead in order to get in undetected and in any kind of with any kind of chance of succeeding. And then the third part is, of course, Heron meeting with the Fates and finding out that if he doesn't help his friends, they could die. So, yeah, not too much with Seraphim himself. We saw a little bit of him interacting with Hera and stuff, questioning her after Zeus had attacked and everything. But that was really not a huge focus of this episode. So let's talk about each of these three parts. The training. The training was weird for me because, as I said during the reaction, it felt like it should have happened earlier in the series. If this is an 8-episode season, no matter if they believe there's going to be another season or not, if you're going to do a training thing like this, it should happen by the halfway point, which was a couple episodes back. Doing it by episode 6 when there's only 2 episodes after this, it's just like at this point it just feels too late. It feels like you're trying to rush what's going to end up being like this final battle or something. And the training itself wasn't even that interesting. Like, we just have Heron losing to this automaton over and over, and then he suddenly becomes better through, I guess, trial and error, and notices a weak spot and destroys it. Whoop-de-doo. Like, honestly, it just wasn't that interesting to watch, and nothing about it really spoke as anything special to me. But then we get to the second part with Alexia and them. Not too much happened during this. It was mostly just them walking. She strikes up conversation with the two, and then they end up meeting, well, and her reuniting with Chiron. And Chiron gives her the map and everything, and they start to plan their attack and sneaking in the back way and everything through the fields of death. So yeah, that was very much just strict setup for what's to come. There wasn't really much of anything else with that section of the episode to really discuss at all. And then there's the third section, which was the most interesting by far. Heron is called by the Fates for some reason. So he goes in after walking up with Zeus and meets the three of them. And they basically explain to him how fate and free will can coexist in a really great metaphor, which I stand by. That was a really great way to explain that. I've heard this kind of thing in many various other stories and movies and stuff about fate and free will being able to coexist and everything. But this was probably one of the better ways I've heard it explained that just anyone could understand. But he's led to his own thread of fate and sees all the events that have happened up to current within these first 5 episodes. And then he again ends up seeing a bit of the future and sees his friends going through the fields of death and under attack and everything, and he's worried about them. He's scared that they're going to die. And when he asks the Fates, like, are they going to die? Is this going to happen? They don't give him a solid answer because they don't know. As they put it, the future is always in motion. It's never set in stone. And even though that's not like the kind of solid answer he was looking for, it does actually answer him. They, again, are basically saying the future is not set, which means that it can be changed, that it can be adjusted for. And he could save them, very much so. So, using the entire baby analogy, it'd be like what they did, what they showed doing. Like, the baby is crawling across the table, you know it's going to fall off, but the baby doesn't know that. It's still exercising its free will to go forward. But you can interfere at the end and catch it. And that keeps it from dying, or you could not catch it and it would fall and probably die from hitting its head. So it's like, it's really interesting to bring up that allegory because it can then be used to explain other things that are talked about. So I really like that. I don't think Heron fully understood that, though. He runs out prepared to go save his friends. And then Zeus is like, basically like, the world needs you. You're not ready to go out right now. It doesn't matter. Zeus is just being a dick, as always, basically. And it comes down to, it kind of comes down to, in a way, the entire moral question of, like, do you put the world before the lives of your friends, or do you save your friends in lieu of the world? That kind of thing. You know, basically one life versus many. That kind of situation. And the thing is, there's never any good answer to that. You could say, like, yeah, I'd save my friends because I know them, because they matter more to me because I have a personal connection with them. But that also sounds very selfish. You could say, oh, I'll save the world because it's the right thing to do. You're saving more people, but then you're also turning your back on those closest to you. So there's positive and negative to both sides. Neither side is a entirely correct answer. Which is why those kind of hypotheticals never really work in terms of a logical like thing to ask someone, because in the end it's like there's no right answer. There's just no right answer. So yeah, and it kind of comes down to, I guess, what you choose to do in the moment. Um, and I guess we'll just have to see how it goes from there. I don't really have too much else to say regarding the episode, though. We did get to see a little bit of the uh, gods kind of taking Hera's side during this confrontational moment when Zeus brings Hera up to Olympus and all. But again, it was very short, and the only actual big confrontation other than Zeus and Hera, which we've already been getting plenty of, was Zeus and Poseidon. And all Poseidon really did, he didn't even necessarily side with Hera, but all he did was tell Zeus that you're a fool if you make Hera angry. That's it. So there's not even really much of anything to that. um, but yeah, yeah. Um, I enjoyed it enough. It's just compared to other episodes, and with everything that's been happening in the story, and especially with only 2 episodes being left after this, it just feels like they're rushing a lot of things, and that I still don't know how they're going to end this season. I feel like it's clear that they're not going to actually conclude the story here, because I don't think they can. So they're going to focus on concluding one aspect of it, and that's probably going to be in regards to Seraphim. They're probably going to focus on like maybe saving him or whatnot. Um, and maybe some other threat will be introduced by the end that will go into the future seasons. And again, I don't even know if there's any other seasons already greenlit for this series. But it's very clear by just the episode count left and what they're doing currently that the creators of this expected other seasons, which is not always the best thing. Like, you shouldn't expect that your show is going to get another season. You should hope, but you should never expect it. Um, but either way, we do have 2 episodes left, so I guess we'll see how this goes. And yeah, I might end up doing both of those together. I'm not sure. We'll just have to see if I have the time for it and everything. Um, but otherwise, we'll just continue on, and I do already have plans for what is going to replace it, and so I'll let you know that after I finish the series, obviously. But yeah, just letting you know, I do already know what's going to replace it. Um, but all of that being said, tell me what you thought of this episode of Blood of Zeus in the comments below, and thank you all so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.